The situation surrounding Sonic Rumble's global release is weird, strange, and a whole bunch of words that just don't make things better. A game that was supposed to release back in winter of 2024 has now been pushed back indefinitely. That now makes two Sonic games in release limbo, but is this actually a soft confirmation that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is a bit closer than we initially anticipated? I've compiled a bit of evidence to what I think supports this, so let's hurry up and get to the facts, shall we? It's been just under a year since Sonic Rumble was announced to the public and 6 months since the game was supposed to release, globally at least. The first delay back in 2024 kinda just happened with no announcement if memory serves me correctly, but counteractively since then, a number of other countries and even content creators have been allotted what is essentially full access to the game, and there haven't been any major reports of bugs or issues that have been plaguing the experience. In fact, most of the creators I watch, such as SF Productions, Games Cage, Emsbury, etc., all have nothing but praises to sing about the title from front to back really. Well, minus the monetization, but this is technically a mobile game created by the same guys that made Angry Birds, so what do you expect? Either way, the reviews on all the respective app stores, great, generated hype, max levels until recently, and even with the official Twitter account we get usually bragging about pre-registration numbers, collaborations, and awesome updates about the game that we just can't play. So what gives exactly? If everything is as close to perfect as it can be, you've stated that you plan to support the game as a live service title for years to come, and there's only minor fixes that your current player base would like to see implemented. Why can't everything you're saying needs to be added in for a global release wait until after it's been, well, released? Don't mind the sitting position. Anyway, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds may very well be the culprit behind Sonic Rumble's most recent delay, and here's why. CrossWorlds turned from a slow burn of dread into a phenomenon from 1 month to the next, basically. The Game Awards reveal was nothing much, but the hints at the Extreme Gear returning got a lot of folks theorizing. The fact that it was indeed another kart racer instead of a Sonic Rider sequel had them panicking, and the way that the teaser was legitimately just a tease had everyone worried, of course. Fast forward to Sony's State of Play, and here's where the good stuff is. The trailer that you've seen in multiple videos since it's dropped, and almost immediately after that, you have the confirmation of a PlayStation beta that would be available for a full 24 hours. While I personally do not have a PS5, I did keep my ear to the ground and my eyes to the screen. Everyone loved this beta. How much depth the gear system had, being able to fully customize your vehicles, and the sheer focus on the experience being fun above all else. Sure, from what I hear, items were a mess to deal with both on the giving and receiving end, but all of those who got to partake in the event liked what they saw and adored what they played. We got fresh merch drop announcements, and then it was radio silence for about 2 months. Until we get The History of Sonic Racing, narrated by Stan Procrastinates on April 29th, and the community goes crazy. As Extreme Gears were finally shown off with some new stages and a tone that sounds like the prep for this game is nearing the final stages. This is followed up by some more merch drops, and that brings us to this current day. Why is any of this important, you may be asking? It was the general consensus or understanding that the Extreme Gears would be shown off at Summer Games Fest. Sonic has notoriously been in these Jeff Keighley showcases, and more accurate release dates are typically soon to follow, if not outright confirmed at the event, along with a demo of sorts. CrossWorlds has flipped our expectations around on this though. Us not getting an official release date in the most recent trailer could be seen as this just being something to further hype people up for the game's release possibly later in the year. However, if we're taking into account the gap between how this game is marketed versus how Sonic Shadow Gens was marketed, the difference is more than a bit staggering. Sonic Shadow Gens had trailers on January 31st, which was the announcement trailer, June 8th at Summer Games Fest, 2 trailers on September 24th, which was the trailer for Gerald's Journal, as well as the story trailer, and then finally the launch trailer on October 25th, which is when the game released. A 5-month gap, 3-month gap, and then 1-month gap. Now take CrossWorlds with the Game Awards trailer on December 12th, PlayStation trailer at the State of Play on February 12th, and the History of Sonic Racing trailer on April 29th. A 2-month gap and then a 2.5-month gap, roughly. You don't usually see this many trailers that fast for a game that's gonna release in the last quarter of the year, or even after the halfway mark. One could argue that it's a spin-off game with not much going on outside of the races, hence the reason to release videos to regenerate hype, but once again, we went from worrisome to wanting more in just one weekend. Everyone who experienced the game stated that it was virtually in a complete state, minus of course once again the item balancing and the strange lack of a traditional drift while you were in the air or at sea, but I digress. I wouldn't be surprised if we get one more trailer showing off the Sega characters that have made it into the base roster, and in that same video the release date. Now, I'd love for that to be actually the surprise launch trailer, sort of like how Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog did it, and see everyone scrambling to run some matches, but we'll just have to wait and see, unfortunately. Where does this leave Sonic Rumble though? When it comes to the hype wars, the mobile game was always going to lose. Not in a sense of fail miserably due to a lack of player base per se, but with how strange everything has been surrounding this title's release date and the fact that a large market has been seemingly left in the dust, it's hard to imagine that Sega or Sonic Team would want to further damage the potential of this game. Very easily, however, I can see the company wanting to get Sonic Rumble out first in a more complete state, and then actually put Sonic Racing CrossWorlds on the back burner. Of course, this would allow them to get the game on store shelves for the holiday season, since that is typically when paid Sonic games perform the best, unfortunately. The only thing that's holding me back from a complete subscription to that idea is the fact that Sega has said they want Sonic to compete with Mario in all regards. I understand their take on that is a hot topic online, but just hear me out for 1 second. With the knowledge that a non-bundled Mario Kart game is going to cost $80, it's not that difficult to understand why Sega may see this as the opportunity of a lifetime. Spin-off Sonic games have been relatively below the average market price in the past couple of years, while mainline titles will stick to that $60 price tag. This is by no means me saying that CrossWorlds is going to outsell Mario Kart in total units when it's all said and done. However, a huge first week showing that's either right before or right after Mario Kart World is a subtle way to send the message that people would rather their ability to play the games from the series they love not be hampered by the financial barrier to entry. Personally, I believe Sega and Sonic Team to be ballsy enough to do just that. The doom and gloom not only around this game but around Sonic titles releasing even remotely close to Mario titles is only online. I promise, it's not that serious. Because at the end of the day, people are going to buy what they want, when they want, and with the prices of everything surging all across the world, cheaper is going to be looked at as better. So, do you all think that we're closer to CrossWorlds release than initially anticipated? Did Sonic Rumble take a backseat to make it happen? And will you be playing both when they actually drop on release day? I will be playing day one or as early as humanly possible, and I do hope to see you all there. For now though, if you'd like to hear me yap about the development of other Sonic games or if horror belongs in the Sonic universe, be sure to click on one of the videos on screen right now. Until next time though, you all take care.